Today, our guest speaker is Imam Saffet Catovic. So I will begin by introducing him and inshallah then call him to give his talk. Imam Saffet Abid Catovic is a Muslim chaplain at Drew University in Madison, New Jersey, where he also received a master's degree in religion and society. He has been a longtime community organizer, activist, and environmental leader. He is a member of the Parliament of the World's Religions Climate Action Task Force and Board of Trustees. He is also a member of the statewide Clergy Council of Faith in New Jersey and also serves on their board of directors. Brother Saffet is a founding board member of the Islamic Society of North America's ISNA Green Initiatives program, consultant to the drafting committee of the Islamic Declaration on Global Climate Change, founding member of the Global Muslim Climate Network, GMCN, and has led many other initiatives. Please welcome Imam Saffet Catovic.
Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعوهم وسلك منهجهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Juma Mubarak. It's wonderful to be with you today, your brother in faith and creation, Saffet Abid Catovic, speaking to you from my backyard in New Jersey. According to Islam's teachings, we human beings, insan, enact the divine will in our divinely instituted role as khulafa al-ard, as the stewards or guardians and protectors of our common home, Mother Earth. We have been given the unique ability among all our fellow creatures, among all earthlings, and with it, the awesome responsibility to freely choose how to act in and upon the earth. According to this understanding, we humans have been charged with the trust, the amana, that the Quran mentions, which is the adl, the just, and ihsan, fair and effective administration of all that has been placed under our control and use, taskhir in the Arabic terminology. This is done, we fulfill this role by maintaining the natural cosmic order and balance, al-mizan, and not disrupting it, as Allah reminds us in the Holy Quran in Surah Ar-Rahman, وَلَا تُخْسِرُوا الْمِيزَانِ, and do not disrupt or make deficient the balance. Through our multifaceted role as khulafa, as stewards, guardians, and caretakers of the earth and all her inhabitants. Allah reminds us in the Holy Quran about this role and function and the gifts that we have been given and how we are to use them. وَهُوَ الَّذِي جَعَلَكُمْ خَلَائِفَ الْأَرْضِ وَرَفَعَ بَعْضَكُمْ فَوْقَ بَعْضٍ دَرَجَاتٍ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ فِيمَا آتَاكُمْ إِنَّ رَبَّكَ سَرِيعُ الْعِقَابِ وَإِنَّهُ لَغَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. That's from Surah Al-An'am. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in translation, and it is He, God, who has made you successors upon the earth and has raised some of you above others in degrees of rank, so that He may try you through what He has given you in terms of gifts and blessings. Indeed, your Lord is swift in penalty, but indeed, He is also the forgiving, the merciful. This amana, this sacred trust, not only encompasses the web of human relations, but extends outward in ever-expanding concentric circles to include all of our fellow creatures, nay, all of our fellow worshippers, ibad, for they are, as Allah informs us in the Holy Quran, organized into communities and nations, like ourselves, each having its own way of worshiping and glorifying the Lord. عَلَمَ الصَّلَاةَ وَالتَّسْبِيحَ, and within the natural world. With this awesome power and delegated authority comes the individual and collective responsibility for our actions. In this understanding, we as the khulafa, as the guardians, caretakers, and stewards of the earth, are not entitled to do what we please, but are obliged to carry out the will of our Creator, Lord, and Master, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we as humans begin thinking of ourselves as the real and sole owners of the earth, having absolute dominion over the planet and all of our fellow earthlings, and the natural resources contained within her, to do so with as we want, without any sense of accountability for our actions, this is when our home as we knew it began to fall apart. This is what has led to the climate emergency and to the existential threat which we find ourselves in now. The impacts of climate change, including stronger storms, more erratic and extreme weather events that threaten human life and all life, threaten healthy communities and the critical infrastructure, as well as contributing to the spread of famine, plagues, like the zoonotic COVID-19 virus, which caused this global pandemic which we find ourselves in. Driven and intensified by the dangerous heat waves, especially in our inner cities and the urban islands, droughts, fires, floods, and other catastrophes that leave trauma and grief in their wake. These are already being felt across the ecosystems and human and other non-human communities and economies, and they will only get worse if immediate changes are not made. Let us take a moment, dear sisters and brothers, to pray for the well-being of our brothers and sisters in humanity, our fellow Americans, citizens and residents of this land, and our fellow creatures, great and small, who have been harmed, and those whose lives have been turned upside down, whose lives have been placed in jeopardy, whose homes and habitats have been destroyed, in the millions of acres burned as a result of the recent record-breaking wildfires in California and Oregon, leaving a smoggy haze and severe levels of air pollution in their wake. And those are our brothers and sisters from Florida to Alabama who have been hit by catastrophic flooding resulting from Hurricane Sally and previous hurricanes. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for them and grant them mercy and sabr. And may we provide assistance to help them through this trying and difficult time through our various relief agencies and our brothers and sisters who are working so diligently and on the ground in such difficult circumstances to relieve the suffering of those who are in pain. Ya Allah, Ameen. Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'alta sahla wa anta taj'al huzna sahla idha shi'ta sahla. Ameen. Dear brothers and sisters, our greed for more and more, driven equally by the soaring arrogance of conspicuous consumption and the unbridled and insatiable corporate greed of the corporate heads, has driven us to this scary state of affairs. All of this comes at the expense of the poorest and most vulnerable of our human family, those who contribute the least to global warming, yet pay the highest price in terms of its devastating effects and harms. We have failed to recognize as human beings and live by the prophetic wisdom and guidance when he, Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, observed, "An-nasu shuraka fi thalath, al-ma'i wal-kala'i wa-nar." Human beings are partners in three: water, and in vegetation, pastures, and in fire, meaning energy. And we are reminded by the Prophet in another hadith, none of these three are to be prevented. In other words, they are public resources and human rights. And we have to continue to demand and work for free access to clean water, to clean air, and to lands that are fertile, which we can plant and harvest from and share the blessings of God with ourselves, our neighbors, and all those who are in need. Dear brothers and sisters, We have failed as human beings to share equitably and sustainably these life enabling resources, both today amongst our fellow human beings, as well as securing them in a sustainable way for our future generations, our children and our children's children. The Native Americans, the American Indian population, the only indigenous people to this land, and the First Nations peoples of Canada have said that when we take any decision, and this is in keeping with the fitra, the natural inclination, and dinul fitra, the natural religion that Allah has granted to our predecessor indigenous peoples of this land, they say that whenever decision is taken, it needs to be taken with how it will impact 7 generations from now, not just what's going to happen tomorrow. We must recognize, dear brothers and sisters, during this time in which we see movements for social and racial justice spreading across this land, speaking to the great divides and fissures that exist within our society, that social justice, environmental justice, racial justice, and economic justice are all inextricably intertwined. Climate change, pollution, and environmental degradation and destruction have exacerbated the systematic racial, regional, social, and environmental and economic injustices that exist within our homeland, within our land of America, within our nation. They disproportionately affect indigenous peoples, communities of color, migrant communities, deindustrialized communities like our brothers and sisters in Appalachia, depopulated rural communities, the poor, low-income workers, women, the elderly, the unhoused, people with disabilities, and youth who collectively make up what was called our frontline and vulnerable communities. Dear brothers and sisters, that only transformational radical change on the individual, communal, local, national, and international level is needed to reset and restore the natural balance, al-mizan, and order, and thereby make a true difference for future generations and the future of our planet as a whole. According to the Quran, human activities, in particular the burning of fossil fuels, are responsible for global warming and climate change, which threaten the delicate balance of life on our common home, Mother Earth. Allah reminds us in the Quran, ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. Corruption, or as some of our contemporary scholars like Dr. Yusuf al-Qaradawi translated in the modern vernacular, pollution, has appeared throughout the land and the sea by reason of what the hands of people have earned, so that He, Allah, may let them taste a part of the consequences of what they have done. So perhaps they will return to righteousness and right acting. Dear brothers and sisters, responding effectively to the climate crisis, which is now a climate emergency, is a serious matter, and it needs to be acted upon today, for tomorrow may be too late. The fierce urgency of now, as the late Dr. Martin Luther King had observed in a different context, is something that is so applicable to our situation today. Dear sisters and brothers, as detailed in a New York Times article just yesterday titled "Crossroads for Humanity, Earth's Biodiversity is Still Collapsing. Countries have made insufficient progress on international goals designed to halt a catastrophic slide," says a new UN report. Yes, dear brothers and sisters, we stand at a crossroads as a human society that is embedded within and integrally a part of the greater global society of creation. There are things greater than ourselves, dear brothers and sisters, dear fellow humans, that encompass all that reside here all together on our common home, Mother Earth. Allah gives us this reality very clearly in the Quran when He says, لخلق السماوات والأرض أكبر من خلق الناس وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. The creation of the heavens and earth is greater than the creation of human beings. It's more than us, dear brothers and sisters, but most people do not know. Climate change is real. It is being powered primarily by the burning of fossil fuels and the resultant global warming greenhouse gas emissions. These, in turn, are driven by human actions, greed, overconsumption, and non-sustainable production practices that are linked to our lifestyle choices. And this is one of the things I like to underline. It is a choice, and we can make the right choice. Let us face facts. The impact of our actions and choices is causing widespread climate change, altering natural global processes and major ecosystems, destroying natural habitats and biodiversity by accelerating extinctions of countless life forms and increasing human suffering on an unprecedented scale. Biodiversity, dear brothers and sisters, we are told by the scientists, is a measure of the health of the environment and the health of an ecosystem. It is that very biodiversity which is being placed in danger as a million species, not individual animals, a million species face extinction by the middle of the century as a result of the destruction of their habitats, as a result of human-caused climate change and global warming. And this, dear brothers and sisters, is settled science and cannot be denied. We need a radical and lasting change to turn the tides of planetary destruction and degradation and to save our future generations, and the future of our planet. Mother Earth, COVID-19, dear brothers and sisters, has forced us and shown our capacity to change the way we live. These masks have become not only a symbol of our protection and safety, but a symbol of our commitment to the preservation of human life and all life on this planet. They are a symbol also of the way in which our lives have dramatically changed, which we would have never thought this time last year we would be able to even contemplate or do. Yet we have done it. Yet we survived. Yet we've made the changes necessary to ensure the well-being and health of our families, our masjids, our communities, our neighborhoods, our states, and our nation. And if we can do it with response to COVID-19, we can certainly do it with response to the overall climate in which COVID-19 was born. We need now, dear brothers and sisters, more than ever to understand Islam's eco-teachings regarding safeguarding and protecting the environment and the natural world, and the eco-practices of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who has been observed and called by some the Green Prophet because of the eco-teachings and practices he has given to us as a legacy of our faith and our tradition. He is the one who is called by Allah in the Holy Quran the distinct and unique name of Rahmatan lil Alameen, the one whose very existence and mission to the earth and upon earth and to all of earth's children and to all of earth's peoples is as a mercy to all the worlds. He is the one, alayhi salatu wasalam, whose lifestyle embodies an ethic of restraint and conservation that we need today more than ever. He is the one whose life and whose very walking upon this earth was characterized by his beloved wife Aisha radiallahu anha as a walking Quran, or a Quran walking. And it was that Quran walking which walked gently upon the earth. For as Allah informs us of in the Holy Quran regarding the Prophet ﷺ's lifestyle, low impact lifestyle, and his existing within the world and living a life of compassionate simplicity, and challenging and encouraging us to follow in his footsteps when he says, وَإِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ حَوْنَةً. The servants of the merciful. Are we not servants of the merciful? Are we not the ones who seek to follow in the footsteps of Rahmatan lil Alameen, the mercy to all the worlds? Are those who, when they walk upon the earth, they walk gently? They live a low impact lifestyle by reducing our carbon footprint. A lifestyle, dear brothers and sisters, that is in tune with our fitra, our innate nature, that is one which brings about good health and well being, not sickness and suffering. A lifestyle that is in sync and in harmony with the circadian rhythms of the natural world of which we are a part and from which we become disconnected through our lifestyles, our way of living for too long. There's an author by the name of Richard Louv who has written a book called Last Boy in the Woods. And in it, he articulates a syndrome. A syndrome is a type of sickness or illness that we all face. We all have this syndrome, and it is a syndrome which we need to deal with and we need to heal ourselves from. He calls it NDD, nature deficit disorder. We become disconnected from nature, and that nature is a part of ourselves, and as such, we become disconnected from who we are. The Deen al-Fitra, the religion of nature, needs to be part of nature, and we who profess to follow it need to be connected to nature like ever before. As we stand in front of our Zoom, our devices and Zoom cameras, and we do these various Zoom gatherings and meetings where we say we keep each other safe by staying apart from one another. We all have an opportunity to take some time during our day to reconnect, disconnect from all of this electronic devices that we are on, which have helped us, yes, but also to disconnect from them and to reconnect with the signs of Allah, the ayahs of Allah in the world, as we try on a daily basis to connect with the ayahs of Allah, the verses of Allah in the Holy Quran. We at ISNA's Green Initiatives Committee, which I am honored to be a member, and our team have worked hard over the last several years to provide practical ways that we can put our faith as Muslims into action with regard to our environmental lifestyle and adjust our old patterns to make the required systematic and systemic changes to the way we are living and working and being in the world. We're doing so with the desire to keep in line and to be a part of the eco-conscious, eco-friendly, beautiful life example, Uswatun Hasana, that our beloved Prophet Muhammad والسلام, has provided for us. Through encouraging each of us individually to reduce our pollution output through conserving energy and reducing our energy consumption in three primary areas that each and every one of us can make a difference and the greatest impact. So we should make a difference and the greatest impact. We need to be the change that we wish to see in the world, the change that we wish to see in the world. These three areas are dramatically reducing emissions from our home energy use, adopting a more plant-based diet, not meat heavy, a more plant-based diet, as was the diet of the Prophet of Allah, alayhi salatu wasalam, and reducing food waste, and minimizing automobile and air travel. COVID has helped us in a strange way, an unintended benefit in terms of the last area, minimizing automobile and air travel because of the various restrictions and stay-at-home orders that have been in place. And the ability for us to realize that for many, not for all, for many of us, we can work from home and we can do a lot of our work from home. But for the essential workers that provide us the food on our store shelves, the deliveries of medications to our homes, and so on and so forth, they who are frontline workers need to have their rights secured, their situation protected, so that we may continue to thrive and they may continue to thrive in this COVID-19 and the post-COVID-19 period, inshallah. ISNA Green Initiatives, through its Green Ramadan campaign, which is themed When Less is More, and more recently through the historic ISNA partnership that was announced at the ISNA convention this past 2 weeks ago with the EPA on the Energy Star program for Muslim communities, are trying to find ways and means by which we can reduce our carbon footprint and our energy usage, both in terms of our homes, our families, but also in terms of our physical facilities like our mosque and our schools. More information on these and other programs of the ISNA Green Initiative Committee and ISNA can be found by visiting the ISNA website, isna.net. In the end, dear brothers and sisters, we need, as our Prophet Muhammad والسلام, told us in one of his sayings, that unfortunately too many of us do not know or learn as part of our basic religious upbringing and education. And those who may know it neglect implementing in their lives. تحفظوا من الأرض فإنها أمكم. تحفظوا من الأرض فإنها أمكم. Take care of the earth, for she is your mother. No one does good or evil on her except that she will speak of it on the last day. And regarding our responsibility to our mothers, in another hadith, which in contradistinction to the one I have just read and shared with you, many of us do learn this hadith and seek to implement it as part of our religious upbringing. Who is most deserving of my good company? My husna sahabati, my good company. A man asked the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, my good company, my suhbah, my companionship. Who is most deserving of this? My most excellent companionship, meaning my time, both in terms of quantity and quality, my love, my respect, my honor, my care, and my service. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ responded, Ummuk, your mother. And then the man asked again, and then who? The Prophet said, Ummuk, your mother. And then when the man asked again, the Prophet said, and the man asked again, then who? The Prophet said, Ummuk. And then the fourth time when the man asked the same question, who is most deserving of my good company? The Prophet answers, Abuk, your father. Dear brothers and sisters, I respectfully submit to all of you that we need to connect these two hadith together in terms of both our learning and our practice, our actions, and we need to do it now. The earth nurtures us in the same way as a mother nurtures her child. In Islam, we should show the earth the same reverence as we show our mothers who bore us. The earth is as sacred, dear brothers and sisters, as the mother who gave birth to me and the mother who gave birth to you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to protect you, to guide you, to strengthen you and your family during these challenging times. May He enable you and enable all of us to speak truth to power, to recognize and make tawbah for the mistakes within our own life and repent from them that we have done to ourselves and to our mother, and including our Mother Earth. May He enable us to be vehicles and to be tools and means of change in the world so that our generation will not be the last generation. And future generations will say of us, they stood up, they took a stand, they showed up, they made a change. And because of that, Ya Allah, bless them, forgive them, grant them paradise. Because of that, Ya Allah, we can live on your earth. We can eat the food without becoming sick. We can drink the water without being poisoned, and we can breathe the air without suffering from lung diseases and cancers. Ya Allah, because of the good that they did, because of the stand that they took and the lifestyle that they adopted, a lifestyle in keeping with the most beautiful example of our Prophet Muhammad والسلام, a lifestyle of living a life of compassionate simplicity, of walking softly upon the earth, and of ensuring that the resources of water, the resources of vegetation and plant life, the resources of energy, not burned by fossil fuels, but energy that is produced produced through renewable sources became part and parcel of the way in which the world functioned. Because of this, Ya Allah, we thank you, our future generations may say, and we ask you, Allah, to grant them paradise and to unite us all in the company of He who was Rahmatan lil Alameen, our beloved Prophet Muhammad والسلام, the mercy to all the worlds. وأقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
Jazakallahu khair. Thank you so much, Brother Saffet. We really appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to all of you, our viewers, for taking time and joining us for this program today. Inshallah, ISNA will continue to hold these Friday reflections every Friday at 1 p.m. Please visit our website, isna.net, as we continue to offer this virtual programming in the days and weeks ahead. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.